Hey folks, Aaron here with another productivity rant for you this week. Today, I want to talk about the tools you use to get things done and how you might be able to get things done easier. So, we need to step back for a moment and look at our daily work lives. What are the things that we do on a regular basis? What does our job entail? What sort of tasks are we responsible for? And what responsibilities do we have on our plate to get done, whether it's one time with a deadline or on an ongoing basis? I know that in my world, I work a lot on sort of a revolving schedule of these weekly shows that I have to make. And all of those shows have different steps that are involved in the process, right? The scripting, the recording, the production of that recording, setting up the episode to be published. All of those pieces are things that when I am done, I sort of have to rinse and repeat ad nauseum until the end of time or the end of a season or whatever it might be. So, lore I've been making for 9+ years and have been putting out episodes at the beginning every other week. And for the last maybe 4 years, every week, which means every Friday, I have to sit down at my desk and take the finished audio file, the finished episode description with all the metadata that's in there and get it uploaded to the host and program it and set a time for release and all of that every single week. So you have things that you do on a regular basis. And sometimes those are big tasks, right? And you can't really turn those into an assembly line or simplify them too much. But there are small things that you certainly can. One of those is password management, right? How often are you spending each day? How many minutes, if you add it up, are you flipping up your desk pad to look at a piece of paper that's taped to your desk, or opening a notebook that you keep hidden in a drawer to look up a username and a password for an account? We live in a pretty amazing time now where there are apps everywhere that will allow you to store and use your passwords in a much simpler way. I personally use an app called 1Password. It's the number one and then the word password immediately after it, no space. I've used that for years. It is a vault that lets me throw every username and password into. It also allows me to generate random, just garbage passwords of specific lengths. 18 characters, 24 characters, whatever. I can say I want symbols or I don't want symbols. And that allows me to have unique passwords for all of my accounts, but not have to memorize them because they're stored in this vault. The vault is then locked with a master password, and you can use your face, your thumbprint, or a password itself to open that up and access it. And 1Password plugs into my browser. And so if I'm on a website and I click into the login box, it immediately suggests the password or the username and account and all that for me. And I just put my thumb on the keyboard and my fingerprint unlocks it. So super, super simple. It's going to save you time on looking things up and utilizing them. Your phone, if you use an iPhone, has that built into the system as well. It's a little keychain that you use your face or your thumbprint to open up as well. And Apple will sync that across your devices that are all logged into the same iCloud account, and you can use it that way. So there's lots of options for you to manage your passwords. Other apps as well besides 1Password. I've just never used them because that's the one I've always used. So save some time by finding a password manager. It'll save brain space too because you won't be holding all of those unique passwords in your head. Next thing that I recommend is something that helps you with text that you repeatedly type in the same way all the time. So let me give you an example here. I use an app called Text Expander, and Text Expander allows me to have a library of all sorts of things that I have typed into the text box. I can name its specific shortcut. I can say that this is my fan mail response. And then below that, I can say, whenever I hit these keys in this sequence, I want you to input that text into wherever my cursor's at. So let's say you're looking for a system of characters that aren't naturally occurring. So what I tend to do, and I learned this from a buddy years and years and years ago, is to hit the semicolon twice. So semicolon, semicolon, and then fan, right, as the thing that triggers the fan mail response. So when I get one and I want to respond, I hit reply and then use the person's name, go to a new line, and I type semicolon, semicolon, fan, and it spits the pre-written fan mail response in there. Then you can tweak it, and then you can adjust it. You can customize things to fit that particular email that you got from that person, but it might save you time by typing a lot of that email instantly. because you know it's the best way to respond to that. This is great for customer service jobs where you have a kind of a scripted, canned response for things, or people reaching out to you with a question that you just get constantly. You can use scripted tools like this, like Text Expander. Again, the iPhone has this built right into it. The iPad as well. I think even on the Mac, it's in your settings. I think it's under General, Keyboard, and then there's a thing called Shortcuts, and you can set up individual shortcuts that will, kind of populate that cursor space with the pre-written text that you've had. I do this with emails, actually. I do this with email addresses. I have so many email addresses across different companies and projects that, if I want to put my email address into a form or give my email to somebody over email, I don't have to type the whole thing out. There are 3 characters I can hit, and depending on the characters that I pick, those characters will expand into the email address that I want to give them. That's why the app is called Text Expander. But for the most part, I find that this is a really helpful thing. If there's anything in your job that gets a little monotonous that you do all the time, you might as well just program that text into one of these hotkeys. The only thing you'll then have to remember is what that hotkey is. What are the characters that you're going to hit to trigger that thing? But like every Friday, I sit down and I program out and schedule and upload the upcoming episode for Monday. And one of the things that I do is on my Squarespace page for the episode, I like to paste in the embedded audio player that I copy over from my host and I paste it in. But I also want to put underneath it some like just general subscription links if you want to go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, things like that. And instead of typing it all out every week, highlighting each of those things, and then going and finding the link and pasting it in, I have a hotkey that's actually HTML code. And so when I'm in the code box in Squarespace, I can paste the code for the audio player for the upcoming episode, carriage return to get down to a new line, and I just type in like semicolon, semicolon, sub, and all of my subscribe links appear in a line across the screen. And then I can hit save and I'm done. I don't have to go looking things up. I probably save myself 1 or 2 minutes on that every single week. And I know it sounds like it's not a lot of time, but it does add up. So there are a lot of tools out there that you can find that simplify or speed up the process that you have. And that might be something that you should look into. I can't go and specifically recommend what it is for you that you're going to need. I think everybody's jobs are different, and I think everybody's work styles are different. 2 people with the same job might go about things very differently depending on their personality type and what their priorities are. So think about what you do on a daily basis. If there's a lot of text that gets typed the same over and over again, I mean, programmers, customer service, people like that, look into these expanding tools like the one built into the iPhone, or Text Expander is another great option. And, if you're looking to manage your passwords, do that as well. There are other categories. Go find them. Find a thing that lets you hit a button and do a job versus having to start that job from scratch and carry it all the way through every single time. I mean, I've got a tool that I put on my desk a couple of months ago that is a Stream Deck. And you can look these things up on Amazon, and it's basically like this little, 4x6 box that sits on my desk, plugs in by USB, and it has little tiny screens inside the buttons that are maybe, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch by 3/4. And you can put an image in for that button's image, and you can program those buttons. And so I open folders a lot on my Mac. I want to open up my lore script folder, or I want to open up the collaborative folder that I use for my Grim and Mild team that has all the different scripts I need to record. Rather than clicking my desktop to get back to Finder, hitting Command N to open a new window, and then finding that folder, I just lean over to my Stream Deck and I hit the button for my lore scripts folder, and that folder opens on my desktop. It's magical. And you can do it with all sorts of different like complex actions. You can program it to do things like that. You can have a screen that appears on that Stream Deck that's specific to an app that you use. So I'm in GarageBand a lot because I'm a podcaster. When I'm in GarageBand, my Stream Deck changes and the buttons don't look the same. They turn into hotkeys for things and tools that I want to use in GarageBand, like cut and paste and move my cursor, or move my viewer to where my cursor is, things like that. It's it's fantastic. It really does change things. So find tools that help you do what you're always going to do, the thing that you'll do over and over again, more efficiently. And that's my rant for today. So if you like this, the spiel, click that thumbs up down there so that YouTube's algorithm knows that you enjoy the content. If you aren't subscribed, please consider clicking the subscribe icon. There's a bell, I guess. You can click a bell and it will alert you if there are new things. But me personally, for YouTube, I just have my subscriptions tab in a browser and I refresh that every morning to see what's new. So that's how I roll. But I thank you for watching and we'll see you next time. Cheers.